Alright, so I'm back with Terraria again. So let's see what I did. Oh yeah, and for some reason I decided to play this session on my computer. I don't really remember why, but I wanted to try it out. The first thing I wanted to do was to get some mithril to make a mithril anvil because I wanted to finish up making my wings because I got all the souls of flight and I had the giant harpy feather to make my harpy wings. I just needed the mithril anvil. And obviously I was going to be able to mine mithril because I have the molten pickaxe that has 100% pickaxe power. So I should be able to mine it. Right? Like I said before, I was playing this session on my computer, so I was not all used to the controls. So I ended up having to go into my settings and check the controls and make sure that everything was in order, and sometimes even look up the controls multiple times. Part of the reason I wanted to play this session on my computer is because I could use the flame lash more effectively. Because on console, it's kind of just you point it at where your attack circle is, but here it's actually a lot better because you can whip it around and like attack enemies like if they're over a hill or something. So that's interesting. While I was poking around the crystal caves again, I found this strange sword that shot out at me. It was kind of blue fired. It wasn't that strong, so I was able to kill it, but I have no idea where it came from. After that expedition, I remembered that I actually had a free accessory slot after I combined my rocket and Hermes boots. So I was looking through my chest to see what accessory I wanted to add and ended up settling on the shackle. Someone had commented on my last video that I should crush a crimson altar using my hammer that I got from the wall of flesh. I was a little nervous because the crimson altar had never led to anything good, but turns out that it was actually a great thing. So whenever I hit one, it would say that my world had been blessed with and then it would say a rare ore like a mithril and stuff. So I'm glad someone told me about that because then I would probably be scouring the caves looking for something that isn't there. It was still Halloween time, so I was getting goodie bags that had costumes in them, and one of the costumes was actually a creeper costume, like from Minecraft, which I thought was really cool, but I didn't really wear it that much. I talked to this guy I thought was a traveling merchant, but turned out he was actually a clothier that sold me clothes. He sold me a familiar wig, a familiar shirt, and a familiar shoes. So what these do is they basically revert your avatar to what they normally look like when you make them in the avatar creator, which I was really glad about because I really liked my character's design and I didn't really get to see it for that long. So if you didn't watch my first video, and even if you did, you might not have noticed, but my character has orange hair and he's wearing a lab coat. So I liked my character's design and I'm glad I get to see it more. On my next mining expedition, I found that I had actually struck gold, or more accurately, struck mithril. This patch of mithril I had found attached to attached to my mining hole, but I couldn't mine it for some reason. Huh, that's odd. I have the molten pickaxe and it has 100% pickaxe power. That's odd. I tried using explosives, dynamite, bombs, nothing even made a dent in it. So I decided that I was gonna try and figure out what the heck was going on. I look it up, and turns out that even though my molten pickaxe has 100% pickaxe power, it's not the most powerful pickaxe in the game. I should have expected that because most Hellstone things are the most powerful before hard mode. So apparently, there's this thing called Palladium that's bright red, and I have to find that first before I can mine Mithril because apparently I need 110% pickaxe power before I can mine it. I tried to look for a Paladin, but I kept dying to enemies before I could make substantial progress. So I decided to bring back an old accessory I used to use called my Panic Necklace that makes me move faster when I take damage. And I replaced my shackle with it because honestly my shackle is kind of crap. After not too long, I found my first pieces of Paladin, but I need 54 pieces of Paladin in order to make the Paladin pickaxe so I could mine Mithril. So I was gonna have to find a lot more. While I was hunting for Paladin, I actually found a wizard NPC that sold me a bunch of new magic stuff. I didn't know if he was a non-movable NPC and he was just find like the skeleton guy was, but no, he actually moves into my town once I find him. Now that I had the Tinkerer's Workbench that allows me to combine accessories, I wanted to see if any of the accessories I had could be combined with any others. And sure enough, they could. I could combine my obsidian skull and lucky horseshoe and turn them into an obsidian horseshoe that gives me the effect of both of them. I found something similar could be done with my panic necklace, that I could make it into the sweetheart necklace. It douses me in honey and releases bees and increases my movement speed when I take damage. I'm not sure how dousing me in honey is helpful because last time I checked, honey slows you down when you swim in it. But it was an upgraded version of my accessory, so I was going to use it. I bought and sold a bunch of stuff to Lori so I could buy the mollusk whistle that summons a flamingo that I can ride. I didn't think that it was the same speed as me running, but it apparently is, so I kind of wasted a ton of money. That night was a blood moon, and a couple of my villagers died because there was just so many enemies. I also killed this clown that gave me this strange gun that launches out a boxing glove, and it actually does a pretty good amount of damage. The next day was back to mining. I was still really struggling to find palladium, but then I realized that it's probably found deeper down, so I went farther down and I found some instantly. When I got back to the surface, I started to get the hang of the Rod of Discord. So what it does is when you teleport, it causes an effect called the Chaos State, and if you use the Rod of Discord before that effect wears off, then you take damage. So I was going to start abusing the heck out of that. Then I thought of something. I have climbing shoes and climbing claws. So can I combine the two and get something even better? And turns out I can. It gave me a whole set of climbing things that allow me more control over walls and allows me to slide down them whenever I want. But I can't go up them for some reason. But I can grab onto them and not fall down. So that's really good. I was spending most of my time mining and dying a lot, so I was starting to run out of cash. So I sold a bunch of stuff, and then I accidentally blew a part out of my mine shaft. One of the enemies I killed dropped this gelatin crystal that said could be used to summon Queen Slime, but for some reason I used it and nothing happened. I tried later at night and still nothing happened. I was confused. Maybe something was broken about it, or maybe I had to have something fulfilled for it to work. Like to summon a goblin army, you have to have at least 200 health. And yeah, so maybe I had something broken, but I couldn't get it to work. I searched the west to see if there were any new biomes, but there wasn't. So I searched the seaside and I found this guy. He was asleep and he was something called an angler. I'm pretty sure he can move into my town, but I'm not entirely sure. And he just gives me like fishing quests and stuff to like catch a specific fish or something. Oh no. I searched the ocean floor to try and find something. I found an inner tube that I tried to use to get to the surface before I drowned, but it didn't work and I died. I was kind of bored of exploring and I really wanted to get my wings, so I went down to find more palladium to make a palladium pickaxe, to mine mithril to make a mithril anvil to make the wings. It's complicated. But I had found this crimson area. It was strange. It was like the crimson spread, and there was red ores all over the place, but I couldn't tell the difference between palladium and another ore that I can't mine yet. They were strange. There was like ghosts attacking me. It was strange. It was really cool and had a lot of cool stuff in it. The place was rich in palladium and the ore I didn't know the name of yet, and I couldn't mine it yet. So I did find enough palladium to make a palladium pickaxe, so now I just had to find enough mithril to make a mithril anvil. For some reason, finding enough mithril was not at all an issue. I did have to look for it a little bit, but honestly, the hardest part was realizing it was mithril because it looks a lot like silver, just more blue. And yeah, I only needed 10 bars to make an anvil, and that wasn't that hard. It took me like 20 minutes to find it, where for the palladium to make a little bit more just to make the palladium pickaxe took me like over like probably 2 hours. Around half an hour later, I had found more than enough mithril to make enough mithril bars. So just like that, I had my mithril anvil, and I soon did what I've been waiting to do for the last like 3 episodes. Combining 20 souls of flight at a mithril anvil, I had finally crafted the Harpy Wings. Not too long after, and I got the achievement Head in the Clouds for equipping my first set of wings. I was confused at first for why it wasn't working until I realized that I put them in my social slot. So after I fixed that, I learned that the wings give a similar effect to my Spectre boots. They let me go upwards for a little while, and then uniquely, they let me go in slow fall like a glider. So it lets me go a lot higher than my Spectre boots, but it doesn't let me fly up forever. To test out my new wings, I wanted to fight a boss that night, but for some reason, the gelatin crystal just refused to work. Maybe you have to kill King Slime before you can fight Queen Slime or something. I'm not sure. But I decided to summon the Destroyer with the mechanical worm that one of the zombies dropped during the Blood Moon. I actually did pretty alright. I was doing a lot of damage, and I learned that my Knight's Edge was actually really effective because you have to hit a bunch of different parts of the borum, and with my Knight's Edge cool sweeping ability, I could hit even ones behind me. But I kind of got cornered and congested in this tiny space, and I died to a zombie, along with all the minions the Destroyer spawns. Next time, I should probably fight this in my my Crimson arena, because that place has a lot of space to move around. So for this one, you want to be able to move sideways, not just up and down. I had a little bit of leftover palladium and decided to make a little bit of armor out of it because I kept getting owned. So for some reason, there's three different headpieces for palladium, but I just decided on this one because it gave me the most defense. I couldn't afford to make anything other than the helmet, so I was either gonna have to find more palladium or find mithril because mithril is stronger than palladium. I crafted this armor statue because I wanted to display my molten armor when I got it replaced. But for some reason, even though it's called an armor statue, I can't put any armor on it. Maybe it's called that because it's a suit of armor, but I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to display all the cool armor I got. I continued exploring the roof of the underworld where the Crimson was because there was a lot of cool rare ores over there. My next goal was to get enough platinum to make a platinum crown, to make a slime crown to fight King Slime, because that's the only thing I could think of doing. I didn't really have any idea what else I could do. So I kind of just mined around and looked around the underworld with my new wings for most of it. Another thing I wanted to do was upgrade to the True Knight's Edge, but for some reason I hadn't found any of the souls I needed. I had found the souls of Night, Light, and Flight, but to make the True Knight's Edge, I need the souls of Might, Fright, and Sight. I have no idea how to get those, so I was looking at stuff I could make with the other souls, and I came across this meteorite staff. I don't know about you, but summoning meteors from the sky to come down and strike my enemy sounds like a great idea, so I decided to make it because I had a ton of meteorite bars lying around. From one of the clouds I killed dropped this Nimbus rod. It sounds cool, but it's really just a reskin of my Blood Cloud wand, so it wasn't that useful. I'm honestly just searching through the highlights in between me exploring the surface and mining. I did find this giant worm that came out and attacked me. It wasn't even that strong, but it was just so weird. Because I had the materials, I crafted a mechanical eye and summoned the twins just because I felt like it. Either that, or I was just tired of hearing the pickaxe sounds and wanted to do something else. I quickly learned that the best items to use were ranged weapons, so I used a combination of my Shadow Flame knife and my Meteor Staff. But one of the drawbacks of the Meteor Staff is that it won't work if the meteors will hit something before they hit your enemies, so that kind of sucks. But I was actually doing pretty good. I was evading them as best I could, but I healed a little early, so I was kind of just waiting for my potion sickness to wear off, which is the reason you can't drink multiple health potions in a row, because you get that effect and you can't drink and you can't heal during that time. I was kind of scraping by. I was doing all right, but I eventually lost, and I did it all right, but I still died. I was getting kind of bored of my weapons and I wanted to get a new one, so I made a paladin chainsaw, but I think it's supposed to be used like an actual chainsaw is supposed to be used and used to cut down trees because it doesn't do a lot of damage. On top of that, I got one of the worst reforges you can possibly get in this game. At least I'm pretty sure. Broken. So basically, everything about it is worse, and I had to pay Jean to reforge it. I landed on the strong reforge, which is better than what I had. It gives extra knockback, and that's about it. But it's better than having less knockback and 13% less damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage even without that, but it's an alright weapon. For the rest of this session, I kind of just looked around the underworld. Since it stretches across the entire world, there's a lot of places to explore. So I looked around and it was pretty boring. But anyways, thanks for watching my Terraria video. I hope to see you again. And if you want to see more from my channel, please subscribe. It's always appreciated. Alright, goodbye. See you in the next video.